Let's talk about the good, the meh, and the ugly of our first look at Netflix adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Sorry, I'm getting these videos out later than most other Avatar YouTubers, but I was celebrating my mother's birthday with an Erykah Badu concert and spending some time with my father-in-law at a Dodgers game, so busy weekend. I did, however, record a live event, but that got taken down by Netflix, so, sad face. But the silver lining is that the video can be formed around the reactions to how the fans have responded to the latest reveals. Shout out to Airspeed Prime, who I totally agree with in that most of the opinions you're hearing from the fandom, whether it's insane hype or total dismissal, should be taken with a grain of salt, as we are merely getting a first look at everything. We don't have anything yet that can have complete judgment passed on because it's so early. We haven't seen any real footage, no music, no actual performances. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Just know to take whatever I say in this video with a mouthful of salt. And also, go watch Airspeed's video. Better yet, subscribe over there while you can. First off, the good. The personality and cast. My goodness, the casting for the main four is utter perfection. If their personalities are reflective of what they're doing in the show, I am here for it. Look at Gordon Cormier, who is playing Aang. Just listen to him.
And in the Avatar's opinion, I think that's semi-evil, but hey.
He's so cute and full of life, just like our boy Aang. Dallas Liu totally has that brooding villain thing going on. Ian Osley as Sokka, perfection. I can totally see the goofiness brewing underneath that jawline given to us from the Avatar gods. And Kia Wintio said in her interview with Netflix that she feels like the mother of her actor group, and I totally get those vibes from her as Katara. Check and mate. Speaking of Kia Wintio as Katara, she also mentioned that episode 5 was a particular highlight of hers during filming, which immediately got my gears going. If you didn't know, the original show was built around 20 plus episodes, each of them a half-hour long. The Netflix adaptation, by contrast, will be an hour long with 8 episodes instead. So fans have been wondering how that would all be broken down episode by episode. One of my Discord members came up with a breakdown, and I must say, I'm in total agreement with something like this being the case. I always thought that episode 1 should end with the Southern Air Temple as the big hook of the pilot, which would give room to an expanded Kyoshi episode, but most importantly would be episode 5, which was teased by Katara's actress and could potentially include, to me, the first sign that Avatar was more than just a really good show, but a great one. The Storm and the Blue Spirit. Basically, the backstory episode and the results of that backstory. I could get into all my thoughts about that here, and I don't want to make this video too long, so I will instead point you to this podcast and you can listen to my full thoughts there. In summary, The Storm brings us closer to understanding Aang and Zuko, why they do what they do, why the skeletons in their closets are so hard to put away, and at the end, why they are enemies and could never be friends because of their opposing goals, at least at this point in the story. If this is all being bundled into one episode, sign me the heck up. Alright, so all the good stuff out of the way, now let's move on to the meh. That quote-unquote trailer we got was meh. I'm sorry to say it. Were my expectations too high? Maybe, but I wasn't expecting all that much. I at least expected the teaser to be on par with the original movie teaser with some actual footage to judge from. And some actual footage would have helped solidify what I consider to be the ugly portions of this adaptation, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I definitely wanted something more than just a CGI intro with logos. I mean, I guess the arrow in the middle is nice here in the logo, but the overall font feels a touch too basic to me. It doesn't stir excitement in my belly, to be honest, but again, not good, not ugly, just very meh. What I did like about this little teaser though was the sequencing of the logos. I like how we see the Fire Nation logo build up more and more and represent the coming threat that is Fire Lord Ozai and his family of war criminals. It builds and builds until its fumes and smoke completely wipe the Air Nomad logo off screen, obviously a demonstration of how the Air Nomad genocide got caused by the Fire Nation themselves. But yeah, I'm not a super fan of the new font and not really thrilled by the teaser, but that's really a nitpick. Anyway, on to the ugly. The costumes. Well, first, we had the original movie, which went with a more grounded, realistic tone. And I really had no issues with the costume work done in that film. But from what I'm seeing so far with these new costumes and looks, well, I got some things to say. No, I don't think the costumes are as bad as the Ember Island players. I've seen that comparison show up online, but I still got some things to say. The eye color, I don't care. I've heard fans talk about this and complain about the fact that Katara doesn't have blue eyes and that Zuko doesn't have his hazel eyes, but come on now, we can't expect that. Or maybe you guys just don't realize how difficult contacts are for some actors. You can't have everyone who is a waterbender agree to that. Hell, they couldn't even get Daniel Radcliffe to do the green eye contacts for Harry Potter. It's not that serious, just get over it. Now, while I love the expressions of everyone's faces, I do think everyone fits the role perfectly. Again, like I said in the good section, everyone perfectly embodies the character and looks exactly as they should, but these costumes, grumble. Some fans think the images are screen grabs from the actual show, but the very flat and soap opera-like lighting makes me think that these are just set photos instead. The difference between set photos and screenshots are that set photos are, something that you actually pose and stage, completely separate from the filming crew, while a screen grab or a screenshot is something that you see directly from the show. I don't think we're seeing anything from the show. I don't have that confirmed. We haven't heard anything officially from Netflix if these are set photos or if these are screenshots from the actual show. But from what it looks like in these images, it looks like it is just that. It's just set photos, like staged set photos. Even the composite of the waterbending up on top for Katara looks like it's a temporary composition, not a final shot. So even though these photos go in the ugly section for me, I don't think they are deal breakers because I don't think these images are representative of the final product. In the same way that superhero costumes look very different on set than what they end up looking like in an actual scene. But if these are screenshots and not stage set photos, then oh no, I'm pretty worried. But let's get into my ranking and I'll get into the breakdown of each and every screenshot. My ranking goes from favorite to least favorite. Favorite being Zuko, over Sokka, over Katara, and last, Aang. So let's go in that order. Zuko is almost totally perfect for me. Some folks aren't feeling his scar, but I think it's completely fine. I've heard others complaining about a lack of red on his costume, but I also think that that's fine too. We're also only seeing his costume from the side, and I see that big sash in the middle there where he has some red. I think we'll have plenty of red. I think we're fine on that front. I think it's also pretty interesting how we see him with the helmet. I still wonder if we're going to see Zuko with his dishonorable haircut. And there is some wear and tear on the helmet itself, but it doesn't feel like it's authentic aging and scratching. It feels fabricated. And that's mostly my issue with all these costumes. They feel cheap. They feel sewn on by factory machines, ready for you to pick up at your local party city for Halloween. Again, the costumes could end up looking vastly different within the actual scenes, but again, these could be the actual scenes, so keep that in mind. I've also seen some people say that they think that Sokka's set photo is from a territory in the Northern Water Tribe, which, yeah, it's possible, but to me, the background aesthetic with the whale bones and the symbol and everything like that reads more like the Southern Water Tribe right before he was defending Zuko in the beginning of the series. If it was the Northern Water Tribe, I would expect to see a fortress made of ice, which is more of a signal of the North. But we do have Sokka's boomerang and necklace, which are nice. That face, like I said before, perfection. Water Tribe symbol and the whale bones in the back. I see what you are doing, production designer, and it is a nice touch. Just wish that Sokka's sides were completely shaved like in the show, but that's just a nitpick. That doesn't matter too much. And I have no issues with the armor, though I have heard some fans question it. I think the pauldrons are fine and the chain links are cool, but again, it is the overall feel that is kind of cheap and too clean to me, especially with these things like battle armor. I think battle armor should always look a little bit, like there's some wear and tear in that, right? Now, Katara. Some folks had a hard time seeing her necklace. It's right there, guys. She has it. It's definitely on her neck, just behind her thumb and forefinger. There's not a lot going on here. I expect her main outfit will be whatever is beneath her coat, just like in the original show. And we have a return of her hair loopy, so that's a hooray. And the water swirls on the coat is a nice choice. But again, this feels like a costume, not like something that is lived in. Now, you might be wondering why I have Aang last. And the main reason for that is twofold. One, like with the other costumes, this one feels store-bought. Don't get me wrong, if I was at a convention and I saw Gordon wearing this at Comic-Con, I am getting that selfie and I'm doling out compliments galore. But when I have my critical goggles on, this ain't it. Everything feels perfectly cut, perfectly clean. I don't mind the bright colors. The colors are actually very accurate to what Buddhist monks wear. It's only the fact that it's so clean-fitting, like it was stripped right out of the cartoon and placed in live action with no texture, which isn't exactly what I want to see from an adaptation. As I said before, I don't hate the original movie and its choices for the costumes. and the movie had some good quality material, while this Netflix adaptation feels like it cheaped out. But again, just like with those superhero costumes I mentioned, this could look very different within a scene. The other reason Aang is so far down on my list is that tattoo. Like I said, I feel like these designs were lifted straight out of the cartoon and dropped into live action, which can work for certain elements, but for me, it doesn't work with that solid blue tattoo over his head that looks like it's painted on instead of tattooed on. And I'll say it again, the original movie takes a W when it comes to Aang's overall design. And I kind of wish Netflix would have leaned more to the design done in that film, which felt far more naturalistic. It's really that big blue blotch that is getting to me. It's a very, very loud choice in my opinion. And yes, I do know there are intricate designs within the tattoo of the logo, but I wish it leaned more to the intricate designs within the tattoo rather than the big blotchy blue mark that's around it. But enough about the costume. There is one more thing I want to talk about in this ugly section. 2024. Yes, the year 2024 is worrying. An optimistic fan might say 2024 is a good sign because it means Netflix is taking its time with the story and the visual effects. But after this first look, I'm not so sure in Netflix's confidence in this adaptation. I want to reserve judgment until we actually see some performances and visual effects, but I gotta say, something deep in the back of my mind is going, uh-oh. Especially because we haven't seen any performances and anything like that. Like, we could have easily gotten, like, just one scene of Aang talking. Even if it's a case of, oh, we want to wait until the visual effects are done. Like, we still can see, Aang talking. And that's another thing that I'm not so sure about is the performances. Like, I think everyone looks perfectly suited for their roles, but I don't know how any of them are acting. But that's just me. What do you think of Netflix's first look at Avatar: The Last Airbender? Were you digging it, vibing with it? Were you a little bit in between? Or are you going to skip this on Netflix altogether? Let me know in the comments below and check out this video on screen about why the adaptation does give me some hope. I'll catch you on the next one, and as always, peace, love, and remember, be water, my friends.